We are live. This is not showing up on my channel. Why would that be? There we go. Test. Okay, we got sound. Okay. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to turn my iron on, which is not powered in, or the power strip's off. Okay. I have the right tip on here. I'm going to wait for someone to show up. Hopefully YouTube sends notifications out. So if you're here, go ahead and type in the chat something, say hi. We gotta wait for my iron to heat up anyway. Oh, it says 3 are watching. So if you're here, say hi. We're recapping a PowerBook screen. Hello. We have someone. Okay. So here's the LCD we have. So I'm currently in the process of restoring a PowerBook 140. I'm doing it mainly just to see if I can make a profit off of selling it, because it was $50. It was tested to power on, no screen, but otherwise untested. The screen didn't do anything, which none of them do. And I figured it would be fun to get to fix another one of these, because I like fixing these, hopefully make a bit of money off of it, and also get another one of these restored back into the world and into the hands of a collector who might not be able to fix these themselves, which plenty of people can't. So that's the goal here. So far things have been going well. I decapped the screen just to make my life a bit easier when my caps came in, and my caps are in. So what we're going to do, we're going to start off just by recapping this. I'm going to recap the inverter board. We'll test it, see if the screen works, and then if I still have a good amount of energy after that, we will move on to something else. I have various random things I need to recap that I have caps for but just haven't gotten around to yet, and we could do something like that. I see Luke Davis is here. Hello. Hello, hello. I think we'll just get started. My iron hopefully is heated up enough. I am turning on my fan. Hopefully it's not too loud. I'm going to see how it's coming across here on my ThinkPad, which is keeping track of chat. Tested to power on, no screen. Okay, it's not too bad. It's not too bad. Yeah, a lot has happened. You know, if you have Discord, I am on Discord now, so we can keep in better touch that way, if you'd like. So if you look here, gotta be careful with these when they're out of their shells. Solder pads were not great, as this was the worst one here. It's still not great, but what matters is less how good it looks, more how well it works. And as long as we get some decent solder joints here, it should be fine. Very important thing to check when recapping a screen where the caps have leaked are these ribbons here, because these aren't really possible to replace, and if corrosion gets their way in here, it's not going to come across on this video here, But there are a bunch of little tracks in here. If you see black spots, that's bad. This has no black spots. It should, in theory, be fine. I don't see any bad traces. I've cleaned it really well. So it should be good to go. Okay, Luke, you do have Discord. My handle there is Astral Electric as typed in the chat, so you can add me if you'd like. Let's see if my iron is hot enough to melt one of these pads. Alright, we got a decent angle here. Alright, we're ready to go. I don't have a microscope or anything, so this is the best video you're gonna get of this. I'm not Mac 84, unfortunately. Alright, so new caps. These are the 3.3 microfarad at 35 volts. We should have 9 of them in here, and we do. Yeah. Last time I was doing this, it was my PowerBook 145, and it was the first thing I was really recapping. I had previously, or at least surface mount thing, I had messed around with an IBM PS Note and kinda recapped it. It was one cap, but I don't really count that. This is my first real project. And it luckily ended up working out. I got that screen to work, even though I was using the weirdest smattering of capacitors. I ended up using ceramics for the 3.3s, and then the 2 larger ones. One I used a surface mount tantalum, and the other I used a through-hole electrolytic for some reason. I'm still not sure why I did that, or what my thinking was at the time. But hey, that screen still works today, so yeah. Okay, so we have the tweezers. These are very small, you can see in comparison to a finger here. Positives marked on the board, that's good. Always remember, on tantalum caps, the stripe indicates the positive, not the negative. This tip is a little large to be using for this, but my smaller tips have gone bad, so I need to get some new iron tips. And my iron isn't super powerful, and when there's any corrosion involved, that can make it a little difficult to get these pads to melt. Alright, so that cap is on pretty good. That cap's on good. I'm glad you have faith in me. I hope I don't screw this up. I did get too confident once, and I'm still sad that I got too confident, because until then I had a perfect streak of never breaking a solder pad when removing these caps. I had never done it. I partially broke one, and it was the first one I did, but it was still intact. It just a bit of it broke off. But I'd never fully broken a pad until I recapped my LC3 and broke 3, I think, maybe 2 pads, because I think I was just going a little too fast when twisting the caps off. And I haven't broken a pad since then, so, hey, but I ruined my perfect streak. Oh well. And yeah, this cheap Weller, I can't say it's the best iron in the world, but I've had it for a few years. It's been solid, reliable. My tips went bad, but they were cheap Amazon tips. The original single tip it came with is still good. So, I mean, hey, I rate it. I do need to get something a little more powerful at some point in the future, just because when I'm dealing with big old ground planes, I can do it, but my solder joints, no matter what, even with flux, just end up looking terrible. So, it's purely to do with how much heat is getting sucked away by the ground planes. So, That's just the way it is, like a 40-watt iron. And yes, we do all learn by making mistakes. I've done that many times, including recently. I broke my Winbook, my color 46SX Winbook screen. That was fun. I was trying to fix the two bad lines in the screen and just completely totaled it because I didn't do, my technique was not good in doing that. So I swapped its keyboard over to my grayscale one, which had a bad keyboard. So I have a working first-gen Winbook. Unfortunately, the color ones are rarer than the grayscales, so finding a new screen might be tough, because the screens on their own are too expensive. I'd have to pay like $100. Yeah, it's a I believe a 9.5 inch passive matrix color 640 by 480, I believe is the screen. It was a Sharp something or other. Yeah, Dell Inspiron 3000. That's gonna be like a 12.1 inch, maybe a 13.3, 800 by 600. I have a spec sheet on MacDat. I could look it up. In fact, I will. That should be Inspiron 3000. It's a 12.1 or a 13.3. The 12.1 inch was 800 by 600. The 13.3 was 1024 by 768. Oh, and it's not a huge loss though that I killed that Sharp screen from the Winbook, because I think it was also just starting to get vinegar syndrome. If you looked at it at an off angle, you could see like two tiny, barely perceptible bubbles. I'll bet that gets worse. So I think that display was not long for this world anyway. And it had really bad, uneven contrast. I don't think it was bad caps. I think the polarizer film had just degraded over time. And if it looks like this is going fast, it's because I spent like an hour last week cleaning up all these pads and getting them ready for new caps. So all we have to do here is solder in the new caps. So this should be a pretty quick process. I gave it a thorough cleaning. There's no more cap goo. So where I'm at in this restoration, besides this, there will probably be a restoration video on this laptop that will include clips from this stream. But where I'm at right now, I'm obviously recapping the screen now. The hinge mounts are bad. They were every single one of them are broken completely. I need to go and get the 3D print ordered. I need to fix that. I have sanded down the original mounts, gotten that out of the way, so that it's all ready for the new part. It needs a blue SCSI. The original Connor hard drive, of course, was bad, because they're all bad. They all need the rubber bumper fix done, but this one did not come back after the rubber bumper fix. There were other circumstances that kept it from running, so it needs a blue SCSI. But it does power on. I tested it with my PowerBook 145 screen. It displays as it works seemingly. Let's see if we can get it to boot today off a floppy disk. I don't know if its floppy drive is good or not. There we go. 6 of these 9 small ones are now in. Not bad. Yeah, it really, all you'll need to fix that, if I remember right, it's a 140, isn't it? Like this one. it should just need, besides all the normal things, you need a new rear panel, right? Because didn't you lose it or something? So you'll need some parts unit. And they can be found cheap. I was tempted again, I didn't buy it. It's probably still listed, but there's a untested but in good shape, looks restorable PowerBook 165, which I think uses the same rear panel as the 140. I think. They use the same screens. That was like $50 like this one was. This one was just 50 with free shipping. That one was like 34 with some shipping. But I'm focusing on this one for now. Yeah, that kind of looks good. Yeah, I get that. And if it was a few years ago, I think the 3D printed parts were what, 2019 those were made? It might have been like 2020 or 2021. Those are pretty recent. Even just like, I mean, 10 years ago especially, it was like game over if your PowerBook's hinge mounts broke. It used to be like, oh, if this happens, it's cooked. Just like it hasn't been so long since bad hard drive was death for one of these. We didn't always have the solid state replacements. It used to be, oh, now I have to pay $80 for a 2.5-inch SCSI drive. Times have changed. That cap's a little crooked, but it's just fine. It's on there solid. Okay. Last one of these, then we'll just have 2 more and we can test the screen. And this is going quick, so we'll definitely recap something else. Maybe I'll try recapping the WinBook XP today. I don't think it'll work after the recap, just like it doesn't work now, but it's just something to rule out on it. If any of you watched the WinBook XP5 review video I put out a couple weeks ago, I mentioned that I have a dead WinBook XP. It just won't post. I don't know why. All of it's there, just lights are on, no one's home. I don't know. Alright, let me inspect. All good. Solder joints are all good there. Okay. 2 big ones. Let me zoom this in a little more. We got these 2. Let me see which is which. I need to grab my flash drive. Because I finally have a reference photo for this LCD now. That'll be up on MacDat soon. It's on my development copy. Alright, so I need the 2235. This one. I taped it shut. I have scissors. I finally bought these 100 at 10s. I keep forgetting to include these in every one of my orders. Those are the ones that the TIAC floppy drives need. The laptop TX floppy drives. They all have that single cap, at least the older revision ones do. And I really need to recap those, so I finally have the right cap. Hopefully 5 of them's enough to do all my drives. Alright, 22 at 35. This is a bigger one. That's fine. This one might take a bit longer because the pads here were worse. But nope, that went pretty quick. Let me inspect the pads. Not sitting completely flat, but this one needs a bit more of a touch up. That's not my solder, those are my tweezers. There we go. What new finds? Tell me all about them. I want to hear. Bag within a bag. 106.3. It's funny, this is a small one. The best part about these capacitor orders are now I have unlimited small plastic bags I can use for storing miscellaneous things. Like all the random screws I end up leaving out of computers I'm reassembling. There we go. That's the last cap. Didn't install any backwards. No, I did not. Ah, you got a million bios now, do you? You got a Surface RT, the HP Dragon. Don't know what that is. I'm gonna leave this iron on before we turn it off for the next little bit. I'm just gonna replace the cap on the inverter board. This green one is an electrolytic, the purple is a polymer, and I'm going to leave this one alone. Now, I ordered caps for these inverter boards a while ago. This green one's just a 4716. The issue is that I didn't order low profile caps, which was an oops. So what I'm gonna do instead, so I don't have to order more caps, and this will work, I'm just gonna install the caps sideways. If I can, I'm gonna make sure it'll clear around this screw hole. So I'll check that. But yeah, the Fujitsu Windows Phone, isn't that the one that ran Windows 7? I forget if you had brought that up or not. So these are my 4716s. They're too tall. You got one of those then? It's pretty cool. Is this gonna fit? This will fit if I install it like this. I have to get it just right. I reckon I probably can. Oh, what the hell. Tape. No battery. Is it one of those things you can't get new batteries for? This is fun. There's a million little passives. Or no? Oh yeah, there's a good amount. There's a little resistor there. Oh, this is gonna be fun to get out. So I tell you what. Tweezers here. I'm gonna go in real close with them. I can't even rock it that way though. This is a tough one, but we need to do this because I need to, since I'm selling this, I gotta sell it as fully recapped. Well, I'm not gonna replace the one on the trackball. Those never fail. But this one's gotta go because I know the one on my 145 is going bad because it didn't used to do this, but now when I power it on, it takes us a good couple of minutes, like a minute or so, for the contrast slider to work properly. Before then, it just doesn't, and it starts with zero contrast and then fades into normal. And how am I? This is because the way I get these caps out, these through holes, is I leverage them, melt one leg, shimmy, shimmy, shimmy until it comes out. But I need to leverage it from in between it and this slider. That's not gonna happen because it's so close to the slider. It's practically flush fit. This ought to work. Tiny little flathead. How am I going to hold it in place though? really not ideal. Yeah, the backlight tube will be fine if it hasn't already been cooked with 1,000,000 hours. Oh, there we go. I actually bent it a bit. Now I can probably... Yes. Is it leaking? It might be leaking. No, I think it is. I hate these tiny boards. You can't hold them in place. The one thing I'm grateful for with the CFL tubes is that they don't really fail without being used like everything else does. So you won't ever really run into a tube that just decided to go bad. They go bad when they're used, so. Averaging this cap is like horrible. And it's like rocking back and forth. I wonder if I could literally twist it off like I can with the surface mounts. Metal fatigue the pins out. Seems like the positive wants to pull free. Oh yeah, that'll work. How's that not broken off yet? I have it fully twisted around. It's leaked, I can tell that much. I believe these green electrolytics from the time are Sanyo caps, by the way. There we go. So what I've done here is I lifted the cap straight off its leads. Don't smell fish, but it seems like it leaked a little bit. Well, in any case, now this will be easy. I can just grab onto the lead and pull out. I could even, my pliers would work better for this. More leverage. to do, I need to plug in my laptop because its battery's about to die. And then I need to take this board back. Where is my charger? I don't know. Found it. What bio stuff have you gotten your hands on, Luke? Get ready for the Pro Strat. Quad hands, who needs them? Who needs them? Boom, Pro Strat. Totally no problems with this approach at all. That didn't work. Got it. There's one. There's two. Boom. F808K. The K series penny 4. Okay, well here's the problem. Besides the SVE, which everyone on the Vio Sony Discord talks about all the time, I haven't seen. I don't know much about it, but everyone talks about it, so I'm assuming it's good. I think it's one of the new ones, like the newer ones, 2010s. I think. Alright. I'm going to de-goo this a bit. That looks good. Okay. Oh, this is going to be... Right, it goes in like this. They go in sideways. How am I going to make this work? I wonder if this would fit. There goes my capacitor. Onto the floor. And into the void. Hey, well that's why we have 4 of them. So when one goes into the void, the others can still be found. Okay, I'll find that in a few days. The Siemens. That's not a the Siemens next door, that one, the green one. I really want one of those, and I swore they existed in the US, but the only one, the closest I could find to a US keyboard, looked like a mad hack that they did just to get something out, get something out in the US. So I don't know. if they existed at all in the US. And it's not that I can't get one in from Europe, it's that I don't really like the idea of a non-US keyboard. I almost lost my big old phone stand to the void. It took me 5 minutes to find it. I dropped it on the floor, and it's like large. It would be like if I dropped my whole roll of solder on the floor. I'm just trying to see if this is going to fit. If it's not, I'm going to have to make another cap order with the low profile caps and wait. I think it can fit. It's just an extraordinarily tight fit. Because what I can't do is fold it over like this, or I'll end up with shorts. I could also do this. That might be the play. I think that's the play. Yeah, they were definitely majority European. There's probably a European keyboard out there that's really similar to the US one. I just don't want any goofy shift keys. Now I have 4 of these, so if I cut the leads too far, that's fine. This. So what I gotta do here is now twist them this. There we go. Perfect. I reckon that'll fit. That'll fit. No pound and the at. You see, it's the same for me. I don't want the at key to be somewhere else. I want the at key to be where I want it to be. Where at the 2 key. Now here's difficulty 2 with getting this in. I can't really, these solder pads aren't clear. I'm just gonna heat them up and stick it in. Oh, I can do this from the top of the board. I can do this from the top of the board and then finish through the bottom. That'll work. Maybe. I just need to get one of them in enough. It's not going to work. Okay. You get e-waste from work? That's the dream right there. Living the dream. Half of this is just finding the right angle. Have I mentioned yet that I hate through-hole soldering? My desoldering pump is clogged, and besides that, I don't want to use it on joints this small. I don't have the right tip for that. Normally, I just press the cap into place, heat so it stays like this, and then heat it, press it down. You know what? Pro Strat. It's time for the Pro Strat. Come on. Part of the Pro Strat is reusing the tape you just used. Where's my other piece of tape? You know what? We're gonna. Okay. You're just e-waste bin diving. That works. Technically, I don't think it's super legal, but it works. You won't get in trouble for it. At least not that no one I've heard has. I don't do it myself. I got a couple phones out of a Target bin years ago, but nothing remotely recently. Will the Pro Strat work? It's a bit wobbly, that's not great. It would be nice if this wasn't wobbly. Yeah, I don't think they care. I don't want this to be this floppy. This is not a good angle. Yeah, this is why I hate through-hole, because soldering on this one through-hole cap has taken me probably about as long as it did to solder in every single one of those surface mount caps. Hey, don't apologize to the HP PowerBook. Even those things know they're no good. hate... I mean, this is super hacky. It makes sense that it's not easy. The installation part is hacky. There'll be no issue with it once it's in there and works. I just need to start to get this second leg in. Doesn't want to go in. Go in the hole. Yeah, I got it. Okay. That ought to be in enough. Now it needs a little more clearance. We're really, really close. Okay. Just needs to be slightly further down there in order to hopefully perfectly clear that potentiometer, that slider. There we go. Now, is this approach the ideal way to do it? No. But am I comfortable selling it like this? Yes, because it fits. It's not going to be a safety hazard, nothing's shorting out. It's perfect. It's a perfectly fine approach. It's just a pain to get set up. And I will check my friend requests right now. Alright, let me cut the lead. These leads, on the other hand, would be almost touching. That bent so much. Let me just get some better solder joints here, and then we'll be done. And we can go and test the screen and the PowerBook. Yay! One joint, two joint, red joint, blue joint. We're good. Alright, I added you. Solder joints are right there. Let's look at that. Oh, looks good. The sticky tape still sticks. A little less good than it did. I think Apple calls these out as parts you just replace every time, but no, you know what I'll do? I have double-sided tape. I'll just add a little tiny bit. Of course, the most important question is where I have double-sided tape. Found it. Yeah, the thing about through-hole is everyone talks about it as if it's the easier of the two. Like, people are afraid of surface mount. People will be like, oh yeah, I know this thing needs to be recapped, but that's surface mount stuff. I'm really worried about that. But gosh, I think surface mount's so much easier. I don't know what it is. I think because people see surface mount and see that it's smaller usually. And to be fair, I recapped a power supply the other day. In fact, it was this. This is my compact LTE light dock. I recapped the power supply in this because they need that done, and it works. And it went really easy because all the solder joints were pretty large, and there weren't massive, I mean, there were ground planes, but they weren't extremely heat-sucking like a desktop motherboard is. So these weren't too bad. This went really quick. But, yeah. It's usually easier with surface mount. I know, it does. It looks like a mini Desk Pro. Like one of the later ones. On the one hand, I don't think I'm going to use it often, and I would sell it, but I don't want to deal with shipping it. It works. But okay. How am I going to test this? What I'm going to do is I'm going to move everything over to my other desk, so I'm going to need a minute real quick to clean it up, because I have other laptops sitting on it. Okay. Phone's gonna sit on the table for a minute here. Let me get my tripod. This table should look familiar. Next step here is going to be, we need a rear housing to use to test with, and my poor PowerBook 145 just can't catch a break. This is the second time in the last week it's going to be taken apart. I have to say, I love these machines, working on them. They're very... The one thing I don't like about these is sanding down the hinge mounts. The sanding specifically is a pain. But everything else about these is super, super easy to work on. People get scared about taking these apart. And I see why, because just the other day I saw on the 68, no, it might have been Tinker Different. I think it was 68K MLA, yeah it was. Someone took apart the screen in one of these and destroyed the bezel, I think is what happened. I think they broke all the clips or something. But look at this, all you have to do is guitar pick. There's I think 4 clips. And it comes off. Yeah, there's just 4, no, there's 6 clips. And they don't break. They don't break if you do it right. Which can't be said about most other computers from this time. It's about knowing what to do, though, that makes these easy. It gets trickier when you're trying to get the bezel off and the hinge mounts have snapped. That happened on the 140. The trick there is to tension them so that you're able to still get the screws out. Just tension the screen a bit. That usually works. Hate doing, actually no, I don't need to disconnect the LCD cable because I hate reconnecting it. It's really difficult to get it reconnected right. That's another tricky part of these. But I don't need that. We're not using the 145. Yeah, there are some laptops like these where if you know how to do it right at least, you can 100% of the time never break a clip. And then there are laptops like the Winbook FX where you'll break every single clip no matter what. This guy now, and of course these stupid ribbon cables. I thought this was the normal way to do display cables until I started getting more into PC laptops. None of them did this. They all used the several wire cables. And lo and behold, those don't have broken cables half the time. It's such a stupid design that Apple did. Hinge repair. Have you had to loosen the hinge? Yeah, so this one I did 2022 August, I want to say. So it's been 2 years. I've used this a fair bit. I put a bit of lithium grease on the hinge, but I didn't, which helped a bit, but I didn't do too much to the hinge itself. And I messed up this one when applying. I didn't sand enough, and there's still a big old gap at the back, like it's broken. But it's rock solid, hasn't broken. There's no stress marks anywhere here. It works perfectly. The worst issue I have is that the screw holes are just so slightly off alignment that the rubber screw caps don't go in right. That's the only issue I've had. My PowerBook 150 hinge repair didn't go nearly as well, but that one's a different case because people say these are brittle. And I'm going to have to make a video or a segment in a video talking about this at some point. But people say these are brittle. They aren't brittle. These don't have the brittle plastic disease that other laptops from a few years newer do. These aren't brittle. What happens is the plastic shrinks a little bit, and it can't shrink the metal around these screw inserts, so they break. That's all that happens to these. That's why the clips don't break. And that's why every one of them has half the screw mounts in the base broken, even though those aren't under any stress. It's because the plastic shrinks and it forms cracks there. So if you fix that, they're fine. They don't have the same issue newer plastics have. The PowerBook 150 is from 1994, was made by Acer for Apple, and those are very brittle, and the same does not apply. My 150 has stress cracks in the rear housing. None of these do that, ever. The only case I've seen of a one from this time doing that is when someone fixed the hinge by drilling through the housing, which put all the stress on the housing. I'm sure these are more brittle than they were when they were new, but they're not brittle like other stuff is. They just, all the screw mounts break. So that's the issue with those. But anyway, thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Yada yada. Let's go and reinstall the inverter board. Here's the 140's top half. It fits. Yay. Okay. Oh gosh, which one of these screws are the ones for the inverter? It's probably these. No. Okay, let me just, those are the base screws. Those are hinged, those are LCD. These two are for some other laptop. And then I have 6 other screws. Where do these 6 other screws come from? Well, it has to be 2 of these ones. A couple of them are going to have had to come from the drive cages, and then the others are going to be these. Okay. Yeah, you'll snap clips you'll usually see snap clips on these if someone kept using the hinge while the mounts were broken, because that puts all the stress on the clips. But they usually won't break unless you do it wrong, and it's very easy to do stuff wrong. We all do stuff wrong, and not everyone will know to. The trick with these is push towards the rear housing when you're sliding the pick. You don't want to pry it, you want to push. That's the trick with these, and every bezel does it differently, so it's a pain to figure out what the right way is. Okay, that's the 145's front bezel. We're not going to use the drive cage, we need this. Here's my the 140 display assembly. You probably won't be able to see in there super well, but I sanded the mounts down, and this one had something I've never seen before, which is that when the screw standoffs broke, it cracked off here in 2 places. This will be easy to fix. I have the 2 bits. I'll just need some plastic weld, which I have on order. My old can broke, and that'll be fixed, but it's weird, I've never seen that before. Okay. Oh, yours did that too? Yeah, I guess it does happen sometimes. I noticed it in the listing photos. It's like, what is that? It doesn't look too bad. I'm not going to not buy it because of that, but it's just weird. Now here's the base. We have to take this Connor drive out, or it will hold up the SCSI bus, and it won't let us even try to boot off the floppy drive. I don't know if this floppy drive works. We'll see. Generally, these floppy drives will either work or be dead and unrepairable. The only times when they die, I mean, it could be that they got all seized, but more often than not, it seems to be with these that something on the boards in there just dies and it stops trying to seek at all. It's not common for that to happen, but it does happen. I don't know. I'm just going to completely leave this hard drive cable out so it doesn't go flopping around. I need to buy a blue SCSI. I'll do that. Okay. Now I'll just put this back on. This has base RAM, no expansion RAM. I'm hoping it'll be 4 megs and not 2. I forget what these had. It has like the factory little RAM card that they all shipped with. But that's all. I gotta get that fragile interconnect cable back in place. Okay. You don't want to end up breaking that thing. That happens sometimes. It's deceptive because those interconnect cables in these are like an IDE cable, that type. And you don't think of those as something you can break, really, so you don't worry about it until you learn after it's already too late that the the actual copper inside of them is very brittle and will break if you bend it too much, and then your keyboard will stop working or your screen will stop working, or like my PowerBook 170, the internal speaker will just stop working and you'll wonder why. Yeah, fun. Now, I'm not going to put the front bezel on this back on, but I am going to put the other screws in so we can adjust the hinge a bit. Yeah, you won't see anything wrong, but stuff will just stop working. It's fun. Okay, so PowerBooks is back together as we need it. Next thing I'm going to do, we need to actually reassemble the screen. Now, of course, in working on this, that's a little dirty, isn't it? We need to clean this. Blow any dust off the backlight diffuser. Of course, that can all show through. I can already tell these spots here are going to be really annoying residue that I'm going to spend the next 5 minutes struggling to get off. It's especially nice because this rear polarizer film has the matte texture on it. I mean the glossy texture, so anything will show on this. I'm tempted to use a microfiber cloth, but I don't want any debris in there to scratch this. I think I already scratched the front polarizer slightly by moving it on my desk. This is so stubborn. You know, it's one of those cases with the plastics where these are generally fixable enough that then the one you bought as a parts machine needs plastics, because that parts machine can turn into a working machine with a bit of work, and then the next one needs plastics, and then the next one needs plastics. What you really got to do is find one that's, and this is hard to do, find one that's got good plastics but is otherwise destroyed, like battery bomb or vinegar syndrome, which even that can be fixed, although most people don't want to fix that because it's a pain. But and that's myself included. And yeah, I don't buy parts machines. Yeah, it's fair enough. The only thing worse than that is hard drive caddies, because that's when they really gets you, because then you need a caddy for your parts machine. You really need just the right blend of destroyed and not destroyed for a parts machine to work out. If you can believe it, I'm still not done getting all the residue off of this. Yeah, dead screen and dead board. That's what you need. Did you ever get the 140's LCD recapped? Oh, this stuff is stubborn. Nearly there, but I don't want to take this apart again after I get this back together. I think we do have some like micro scratches in this. Decap but not recapped? Yeah. So that's just another thing on the list for you to do. Or get done. I forget if you can solder or not. Somehow there are definitely a bunch of little scratches on this. Which, I mean, oh well. They probably won't be too visible when it's on. Well, that's good. That's good. Okay, come on. We're nearly there, but it's the last little bit that takes the longest. these tiny little specks of stuff that you have to individually scrape off. Yeah, where did these scratches come from? That's the annoying part. I noticed them before I did this. So I don't think this did it. You know, maybe it did. Maybe it is this paper towel that's causing it. Leaving little scratches. I might have just learned something. Stupid cloth. I think this is as good as I'm getting it. I'm going to quit while I'm ahead. Slightly ahead. Okay. Yeah, I have a microfiber, but I have multiple, but they leave more streaks than paper towels do. Paper towels leave no streaks. My microfiber is great at bulk cleaning, but it always leaves streaks, unfortunately. Front plate. Which way does this go on? You see, that looks correct, but what about the other way? You see, that looks correct, but what about the other way? Okay, well, that lines up. This line, crap. It's gonna be this way. This is the way the cable is. Yeah. I might have to end stream and restart in a couple minutes. Or I won't do that. I'll just... My mother was calling me. So I'm gonna have to go upstairs and mute my microphone. Alright, I will be back in a minute. I'm back. Oh, that's not good. That's bad. Can you hear me? Because my camera feed has frozen. Oh boy. Okay, so you can hear me. Hello, stormy day. Can you see my hands waving? Is this just for me that my camera feed froze? Or is it... Well, I can check, actually. Oh, you're just seeing a black screen. That's not ideal. I might have to restart after all. I'm gonna go restart stream.